What's up, filmmakers? Today I'm going to share with you 4 tips to level up and improve your cinematography. And the best part is they don't require any money. A constant thing that we feel as videographers and filmmakers or YouTubers is that need to improve and get better, and we're always trying to perfect our craft. Now, a lot of times that also comes with this feeling that, hey, if I just had a better camera and nicer lenses and more lights, all my stuff would look so much better. It would just be so much easier if I could afford all that fancy gear. Now, there is some truth to that. Having better equipment, of course, can improve the quality of your images, but it's not totally necessary. You can make great looking stuff with the equipment that you already have. So here are 4 simple ways that you can make your videos look better. Tip number 1, use foreground.
Behind your eyes, the way you're talking, it's a cheap disguise. We were made to chase the light, but you got saved on a moonless night. Get free tonight, set it all on fire.
So many people neglect this and their images end up looking really flat because we view videos in 2D. So to really immerse your viewers in that scene, you have to add layers. So you want to have that foreground and then the subject and then your final layer of the background. And that starts to make things feel much more 3D and brings the viewer actually into your scene instead of things just looking flat and boring. Tip number 2 is to use leading lines.
Said I'm gonna leave right before the red sun rises. Get free tonight, set it all on fire.
What these do is they allow you to direct the viewer's focus to your subject. And they're most commonly and most obviously seen in architecture. So whether that's the side of a building or a street or a fence or an alleyway, things like that can really direct your focus towards whatever it is that you want the audience to see. Now, there are other places that you see leading lines, not just in architecture and structures like that. You're going to see them all over the place. Tip number 3 is to use symmetry. So many videographers and cinematographers get stuck using the rule of thirds and the rule of thirds only. And that can be such a big mistake because there are so many beautiful ways to frame your shots. You don't always have to be using the rule of thirds. You just put, whatever your subject is in the center, and then you have kind of this nice mirroring on the left and on the right, and it creates a really nice symmetrical shot. And that can be so pleasing to our eyes because as humans, we love to see things in order, and symmetry just shows us those patterns and can be so aesthetically pleasing. So don't be afraid to use symmetry instead of always relying on the rule of thirds. Tip number 4 is to fill the frame. Now, I recently made a video about this for drone footage, so if you're interested in aerial cinematography, definitely check that out in the link above. It goes into a couple more details there. Now, what I mean by filling the frame is get as close as you can to your subject and really have them take up all of that real estate. And of course, it should be driven by the story. So if your story demands that your character is way off on the horizon and just a tiny dot out there, of course, you're not going to be filling the frame with that subject. So remember, it does depend on your story, of course, but for the most part, the beauty is in the details. So getting in close and really filling out the frame and not leaving all this dead space and these ugly areas off to the side is going to help your imagery look so much better.
Hey Chadwin, thank you very much for having me on your channel. So I'm gonna jump straight into it and talk about my tip for better cinematography, and that is to never go handheld. I know that in movies and TV shows, you often see the handheld effect where you see a little bit of camera shake, but what you don't realize is that often that cinematographer is wearing a full armor vest, Steadicam that's pretty expensive. Also, the camera is heavy and they're doing handheld movements very intentional. They know what they're doing, right? It's very intentional. However, when you as a videographer or cinematographer, you're hand holding a camera, you introduce these micro jitters. Even if you don't think you're not doing any movements, you're gonna introduce them and it looks very amateur once you look at the video. So try to avoid that. Always use a monopod, a tripod. If you're gonna introduce movement, use a slider or gimbal or whatever it might be, just so you get a smooth shot. Even if you have a camera that has in-body image stabilization, don't think that's gonna replace a good slider. I've seen people say, well, and now that I have this this camera body with in-body stabilization, I'll just use my body and I'll keep super smooth and I'll get a perfect shot. It doesn't look good. You're gonna introduce these ebbs and flows. It doesn't look right. So always use professional gear when you're trying to pull off those movements. And yeah, that's my number one tip. So hopefully this helps you out, helps out your audience. Thank you, Chad, for having me on your channel, and I'll send it back to you.
Awesome tips, Marcos. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us today. Guys, go check out his channel and hit subscribe. He has a ton of really cool filmmaking stuff on there that you're not gonna wanna miss. Remember, take the time to plan out your shots a little bit better. Use foreground, leading lines, add some symmetry, and remember to fill the frame. When you do all these things, it's really gonna level up your cinematography and make things look a lot better. Guys, if you wanna learn how to light and shoot better videos, hit subscribe right now. I have so many more videos coming out on shooting, editing, everything like that. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.